by understanding this message that if we don't fix our budget for the next generation, our kids, our grandkids in the future will not have the same opportunity that we had. Right now, we are approaching in the next 8 years to be $50 trillion in debt. In 8 years, we're at a plan that there will be about 12 to 14% of our budget making interest payments. Right now, our nation got downgraded just this past week. Did you know that? Our credit rating got downgraded for the second time in U.S. history. Why? Because we're spending so much money, we have to roll the printing presses, and I loved it. The same day, Janet Yellen, God bless her, came out and said, oh, don't worry about it, there's nothing to see here. How many of you know when Janet Yellen stands up and says that, it's not true, there's more there, and we as Americans have to take our country back. This past week, we launched a 7-year economic rescue plan that does this simple thing. It saves Social Security. Social Security is set to expire in 10 years. It gives us a chance. I'm 55. In 10 years, I will only receive 78 cents on the dollar that everybody's receiving today. If we don't fix it now, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. The second thing it does is it saves the U.S. dollar. The U.S. dollar used to be the strong world's reserve currency, and it's still strong, but it's working to get displaced by China today, and we have to work hard. And most importantly, it saves us all from inflation. How many guys are tired of seeing a 30% higher automotive cost, 30% higher rent, 30% higher mortgage payments? The interest rates go up because they're trying to stop inflation, which is from our crazy spending, and this is what happens. Right now, a house payment would be $500 more a month for a $400,000 house than it would be 2 years ago for the same house, the same cost. We don't have that kind of money. We're not getting raises like that. We have to rein in the government. This whole thing is about this movement called We the People. Do you remember the first 3 words of our Constitution? We the people. This was our government saying this: we are here to serve the people, not the people to serve the government. It's about time that we the people took back our country and saved the next generation. We can't do it if we don't solve the healthcare crisis. Right now we have 40% higher inflation than regular inflation in healthcare. And I'm going to bring a Republican, the first ever Republican-led transformed healthcare policy to the table by demonopolizing healthcare. Demonopolizing. We only have 2 or 3 major health insurance exchange places here in Iowa. There needs to be dozens. I've got thousands of competitors in my industry. It's time that we bring the patient, put the patient back in charge. Have price transparency when you go to the doctor. Listen to this. We've already socialized healthcare in America here. Okay, the question was, how are we going to assure rural Iowans about reliable electricity and fuel? Is that correct? And affordable. I believe that America, it's time for the United States of America to be energy independent and to be strong and use every available source of fuels, renewable fuels, ethanol included, to make sure that we are competing across the world. And it's time for us to be an exporter of energy, and that's why we can be financially independent again. It's going to be hard for us to get out of the debt crisis we're in without doing that. I'm a full believer in us using every method available. Yes. Question here. Yes. Question. First of all, see Morgan on the podcast. Love to. Secondly, top economic issues. We have to be able to balance the budget. We've got a 7-year plan to do that economic rescue plan, but we have to do it also by changing healthcare. Healthcare is eating away our economy. It's 33 to 35% of our budget, and it is destroying our economy. So we have to bring it back into check. Then we'll balance the budget. Steve.
Life, liberty, property, equal protection, or due process of law. Mr. President Binkley, will you find that the unborn child is a person under the 14th Amendment and enforce the fundamental right to life?
Absolutely. You know, I am pro-life. And I believe that every child deserves that right to life. And I think this, though, this is a very volatile moment in our nation's history. And I believe this, we have to connect to people. We have to connect to women in crisis. We need to start an adoption movement. We need to change the culture of life in America. We need to make adoption more affordable, more accessible. Actually, my wife and I want to start an adoption movement that actually adopts all the children in foster care as well. And we'll be able to change that so they don't have to age out. Every child deserves a home, and that's the way we lead. Question right here.
Will you get us out of the United Nations and stop their agenda for a one world government, one world economy?
I will definitely stop the agenda for a one world government and one world economy. But if I lead, it will be, or when I lead in the United Nations, I will lead a movement for us all to be independent nations. God didn't create us to be one particular country or nation. It is actually this. We're independent, and I'll lead that voice of freedom for all the nations. Last question.
How are you going to stop the deep state?
How am I going to stop the deep state? You know, we have two systems of justice. I think we've all seen that right now. We've seen so many problems of corruption. When I see issues in my company over the years, when I had leaders that could not carry the culture of our country, this is what I did. I didn't cancel every company that I owned. I got rid of the president, I got rid of the leader, and I got a new leader that shared our values. Right now, we're in a cancel culture environment. You know, a couple years ago, the Democrats were saying, hey, defund the police. Now many people are saying, oh, let's just defund the FBI or defund every other department. I don't necessarily think that's the track. We need strong leaders that share the values of America first. We need strong leaders that are going to carry the golden rule as a value, integrity as a value. Let that be led throughout every organization. We can change the culture of our country when we change the leadership of those departments. We have to trim them down. We have to get rid of inefficiencies and corruption. But when we do, we'll change the culture of America. I don't know if I have time left. One more. Department of Education, another department that needs to be trimmed and cut back. It's way too bloated. I don't know that I get rid of it completely, and here's why. I don't want to lose the influence we could have in California and New York, some severe blue states, because I want every state in the United States of America to be held accountable to teaching our kids math, science, reading, and get rid of propaganda out. I think it's a leadership issue, a leadership change, but it definitely needs to be cut. That's it for today. God bless you. It's so great to be with you. Thank you. Go to Binkley2024.com.